Welcome, everybody, to CFL Weekly Pick'em Show. We are at Week 15 on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. The CFL Pick'em Show is brought to you by Replenishing Care Technologies, the future of sports medicine. To find out more about them, go to thegruelingtruth.net, click on the banner at the top of the page. I am your co-host, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to welcome in my other co-host. First up, Brian Schmidt. How you doing, Brian?
Doing good. Hope everybody out there in CFL land is having a good week.
All right, and everybody out there in CFL land will know our other co-host, four-time Grey Cup winner, Robert Drummond. How you doing, Robert?
Doing great. Now the fact that my Syracuse University Orangemen, my alumni for college, are 3-0, just beat Florida State. I couldn't be any better. So I'm riding high right now.
Yeah, Florida State graduates aren't feeling quite as good either.
No, they're not. But hey, at some point it was bound to happen.
That was the first time since what, the mid-'60s? That they beat
19.
Yeah, well, hopefully they can keep it up. All right, let's go ahead and look at last week's games.
Well, they're favorite. They're favorite.
Who do they play this week?
They play UConn. They're favored by 27 points. So.
Oh, they'll beat the hell out of UConn. Everybody beats the hell out of UConn. The UConn women's basketball team would probably give you guys a better game.
Yeah, they probably would.
All right, let's start off. Robert, did anybody pick Montreal last week?
Pardon me?
Did any of us pick Montreal last week? Do you remember, Brian?
No.
Okay.
I don't think none of us did.
Well, it's a good thing because a strong defensive performance earned the BC Lions a 32-14 victory over the Montreal Alouettes on Friday night. The BC defense dominated the line of scrimmage, sacking Montreal quarterback Antonio Pipkin 7 times and forcing the young Owls quarterback into 4 interceptions. Offensively, Travis Lulay, in relief of him, Jonathan Jennings was 19 for 30 with a touchdown and a pick. They're 5-6 now. They put themselves into a relevant conversation for a shot at the playoffs. But the question's got to be who's going to play quarterback, Robert.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. I mean BC, right now defensively, they've always had a very, very good defensive team, and they really showed up. They showed up this game. I mean, granted, it wasn't it's a situation where they have to put themselves in a position, for the second season, which is the playoffs. And everyone sits here and talk about what you do in the regular season. It's also what you do towards the end of the year, in that playoff time. So BC's in a position right now where you can rely on defense only so much. They have to get that offense going, and it's going to be interesting to see where they go going forward.
Yeah, and Schmidt, Montreal's just Montreal. They can't protect a quarterback. Like I said, Pipkin got sacked more times than he completed a pass almost. So I would say they're in a little bit of trouble, and it does look like that possibly is Johnny Manziel playing this week?
I believe I saw that he is starting this week.
Poor Johnny Manziel.
So.
Why would you want to play?
I know. I mean, he ought to just ask if he could tap out the next year or get traded back to. Yeah. But, all right. And once again, I think we all picked Calgary last week. And this was a close game with Hamilton for about 2.5 quarters. And then they ran away with the game. And it's the same old with them, Brian. They're not going to lose 2 games in a row. They put points up. Bo Levi Mitchell, 17 for 30, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Ramar Morris, 16 carries, 98 yards. And it seems like it's a different running back every week that does the damage for him.
Yeah, it's almost a running back by committee sometimes, but it doesn't matter who they put back there to get the job done. But, yeah, we said it last week. There was no way they were losing 2 in a row. And I'll tell you, Hamilton – for 2.5, almost 3 quarters, I mean, they were there, they were fighting, but you never got a sense that they were really going to overtake Calgary. It was almost that fight and claw, but eventually you just run out of gas, and Calgary just, takes over the game, and that's really what they did.
Yeah, and if you look at Hamilton, though, they've been playing well. They didn't play badly in this game, Robert. They just ran into a Calgary team that's really good. Masoli was 23 for 37. The big killer is 2 interceptions. You cannot turn the ball over and beat the Calgary Stampeders.
No, I mean, they're just a solid team. For 2.5, almost 3/4. Hamilton gave them a fight. And they showed why they're worthy of being a team that to contend within the playoffs. Masoli had I think a very, very, very good game. But eventually, just the strength, and just the demeanor of like we call them New England Patriots of the of the CFL. Calgary just took over. And they just did what Calgary normally does week to week. They ended up winning the game, and that's Calgary football. They're going to be a tough team to contend with. Once they understand that they're the best team in the CFL.
Yeah, and then we had a dominant performance from running back William Powell, a bounce-back effort from Trevor Harris, helped catapult the Ottawa Red Blacks to a 30-25 victory over the Saskatchewan Roughriders Saturday night at Mosaic Stadium. And this is the Red Blacks team we've been looking for a while, Robert. They disappeared for about a month. Now they're back.
I was shocked. I said it.
But anytime you got a quarterback that throws for 334 and William Powell, who goes off 18 carries, 148 yards, and 2 touchdowns, it's going to be hard to beat you. Even Calgary would have a hard time in a situation like that.
I mean, you say to yourself, what's up with this team? I mean, one week they get a performance like they did, this past weekend. Then another week they're duds like they are, the previous weekends. I do not understand that team. I do not understand that organization. They have all the on paper. They have all the talent in the world to be considered in the same likes of a Calgary, but they're not. They're so inconsistent. It's crazy to watch. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, and when we look at Saskatchewan, Brian, we always make the comment that whoever we think is the second-best team loses. It'd been a couple weeks before they'd lost. Zach Collaros was only 10 for 27, threw 2 picks. They only ran the ball for about 80 yards, and they only lost by 5 points. So I don't think this is the case where the Rough Riders, I think they just got outplayed by a team that's really talented, and that team showed up to play today. I still think the Rough Riders are a big-time contender in this.
Yeah, not a lot you can take from this other than Ottawa played really well. Saskatchewan didn't play as well, as they normally do, but yet really at the end of the day, I mean, a 5-point loss, they were in it, at the end. I still think Saskatchewan is the second best team in this league right now, even with this loss. I think that they're still the second best team. And we'll see going forward if that holds true. But I don't think, much like with Ottawa, when we were saying Ottawa was the second best team, then they started, you could see, okay, this team being Ottawa, Winnipeg, we had at one point second best team, and they lost, and they lost the momentum. Even with this loss, you don't see Saskatchewan going on a prolonged losing streak.
No.
Yeah. I don't either. And when we look at the week ahead, Johnny Manziel or no Johnny Manziel, the first game we got to pick is Montreal at Winnipeg. I think we can all agree Winnipeg's going to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, do we really have to pick this game? I mean, really? I mean,
we can just all agree to agree on this one.
I just hope Johnny Manziel gets out of this game healthy.
Yeah, alive would be good.
Yeah.
Next up, Brian, and this all of a sudden becomes, to me, the game of the week. We've got the Edmonton Eskimos at the Ottawa Red Blacks. Can the Red Blacks string together 2 straight victories?
This is an interesting game because, really 2 teams that I think are, on paper, especially Ottawa, very good. But at times they look really good, and other times not so much. And you can say the same thing with Edmonton to an extent. I'm going to take Edmonton in this. I think it's a toss-up game, but I'm going to take Edmonton on the road. I just feel like they're going to do a little bit more, defensively, and I think Riley, is going to be Riley and put some yards up.
All right, Robert.
I agree. I mean, kudos to what Ottawa did this past weekend, but Matt Riley is just. I mean, I think it's crunch time right now, and he realizes he has to establish who Edmonton is, and Edmonton will go as far as Riley takes them, and I think Riley's going to get it done this week.
Yeah, I don't have anything that tells me Ottawa. It's just like when Calgary loses, they're going to win the next week. It's almost like when Ottawa plays well, they're probably going to lose the next week. So I'm going to go with Edmonton also. Next up, we got Saskatchewan at Toronto. I'm going to go with Saskatchewan here. What do you think, Robert?
Yeah, I got to go with Saskatchewan. I mean, Saskatchewan's a team that, I just think they just just blundered this past weekend. They're not going to lose 2 games in a row. They'll right the ship. They understand the talent that they have, and they let that one slip away. And when you let a game like that slip away, you get mad at yourself, and you really prepare yourself for the next game, to be much better than you were the week before. And unfortunately, Toronto's going to feel the wrath of what Saskatchewan felt they should have did last week. So I definitely have to go with Saskatchewan.
Yeah, and just the fact that they're playing Toronto has to make you pick Saskatchewan, doesn't it, Brian?
That too.
Because Saskatchewan's been as bad as Montreal over the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, I go with Saskatchewan, and it's just merely because with the loss last week, they're going to come out with a focus. This is a really good football team. I don't see them going on a prolonged losing streak. And really, you have 2 choices of the perfect matchup after you lose a game like they did, Montreal or Toronto, and they get Toronto. So Saskatchewan will win this.
All right, next up, we got the Hamilton Tiger Cats against the BC Lions. It appears that John White will be the starting running back for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, as TSN has reported regular starter Alex Green has been ruled out. The report also said leading receiver Brandon Banks is up in the air for Saturday's game, and determination won't be made until after Thursday's practice. I think this is a tough game to pick, and this is a big game for both teams, Brian.
Yeah, it really is. And really because of the injury situation in Hamilton and BC at home, I'm going to take BC. I think that they'll win one here at home, but it won't surprise me if Hamilton wins. But I'm going to take BC at home.
Yeah, I'm going to take BC also, Robert.
Yeah, I mean, I can't agree with me. Although I think Masoli may have a monster game, it's just hard to pick against BC with the defense playing as well as they did, and them understanding now that this is gut crunch time. As we say in football, this is where you have to try and establish who you are. The top dog, the top team, or someone for the teams to contend with. I just think BC at home are going to go out there and just prove that that they should be up there with with the talk of the other teams competing for the playoffs.
All right, Brian, any final words?
Oh, just looking forward to another good weekend of football.
Robert, we have one situation to discuss. They play Connecticut, they go to 4-0, but then Syracuse goes to Clemson.
I know. I've been saying. I mean, that if they get blown out by Clemson, it's the same old Syracuse team. They play Clemson tough and get a win, or just save face. They're a good team, so it's interesting. A bunch of young players. I see those guys all the time and talk to them, But it's just good to see the program actually smile again,
Yeah, and I think you look at the rest of their schedule. I think they could win 8 games this year easily.
They can win 7-8 games at least, but it's not going to be easy. The teams aren't taking them lightly anymore. Teams are understanding that they're good, so it's going to be interesting.
All right, guys. So we will be back next Wednesday night at 9:30 to discuss all these games that we just picked. Show will be a little longer next week because there's 4 games to talk about. Review, 4 games to talk about in the future. So make sure you check us out every Wednesday night at 9:30 for the CFL Weekly Pick'em Show. You can hear all of our shows on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. And we want to thank everybody that listened last week. It was one of our most listened to shows. We had actually over 4,500 listens. So I want to thank everybody who listens in every week. So for Robert Drummond, Brian Schmidt, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.